On a freezing city street, Evan Brooks, a single father, pauses to ask before helping Dr. Lila Hart, a blind stranger. That small winter moment, an offered elbow and quiet respect, sets off a chain of events that will change their lives and the city itself. Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Let's begin. Snow kept falling in thin, restless sheets, turning Maple Street into a ribbon of slush and glittering ice. Evan Brooks, 35, single father, moved fast with a grocery bag in one hand and his daughter Mia's mittened fingers in the other. Mia, 7, hopped over frozen puddles like they were lava, her breath puffing white in the streetlight. At the crosswalk, Evan noticed the sound first, the careful tap-tap of a white cane, steady as a heartbeat. A woman stood at the curb, head tilted slightly, listening to traffic hissing over slush. She wore a charcoal coat, a scarf tucked neatly, and a calm expression that didn't match the danger of the icy curb. Then a guy, 20-something, confident hands, reached for the cane. Evan's voice cut through the noise, firm but not cruel. "Hey, don't grab it. Ask first." The stranger froze, embarrassed. The woman turned her face toward Evan's voice. Evan softened instantly, like a door closing gently instead of slamming. "Ma'am, I'm Evan. Would you like help crossing? If yes, do you prefer an elbow?" A small pause. Then her voice, steady and educated, answered, "Yes." "Left elbow, please." Evan shifted the grocery bag to his right, offered his left arm without touching her first. She found his elbow with practiced fingers. Her cane continued to tap, but now it sounded less like warning and more like navigation. Mia watched with wide eyes. "Daddy, you're like a guide." Evan gave her a quick smile. "More like a neighbor." They crossed when the signal chirped. Evan narrated gently, "Not too much, not too little. We're stepping off now. Paint under your shoes. There's a shallow dip halfway. You'll feel a breeze when the bus pulls away." On the other side, warmth spilled from a cafe window, cinnamon, espresso, bright lights that made winter feel temporary. Evan didn't assume. He asked again. "Would you like to warm up inside?" "No pressure." "I would," the woman said. "I'm Dr. Lila Hart." Inside, a barista with a holiday apron smiled. Mia immediately pressed her nose to the pastry case like it was a museum. Evan chose a table with space, described the layout so Lila could decide. "Lower chair is stable. The one to the right wobbles." "The stable one," Lila said, amused. "I've had enough wobbling today." Evan cut a cinnamon roll into smaller pieces, then stopped himself before sliding the plate closer. "Would you like me to move the plate toward you, 12 o'clock from your hands?" "Yes, please," Lila said. "And thank you for asking." Most people rush to fix. Very few pause. Mia sipped hot chocolate and whispered, as if sharing state secrets, "He always pauses. Even when I'm mad." Lila's smile warmed. "Then he's teaching you something important." Evan's chest tightened at that, because pausing was not just politeness. It was survival. Years ago, he had learned what happened when the world didn't pause for people who needed it to. He didn't say it out loud. Not in front of Mia. But the memory was there, quiet and heavy. When they finally stepped back into the cold, Evan walked Lila to her building. She thanked him like it mattered, not like a routine courtesy. Before she went upstairs, she said, "If it's all right, Evan, could I leave my number with someone you trust? A bookstore, maybe. No pressure." Evan nodded. "There's a little shop on the corner. They know everyone." As he and Mia trudged home, Mia swung his hand. "Are we gonna see Dr. Lila again?" Evan looked back at the crosswalk, now empty, snow erasing footprints like they'd never existed. "I don't know, kiddo. But the city had a way of keeping receipts. The next morning, the sky was winter-gray and clean, as if the night had scrubbed the city with cold. Evan walked Mia toward school, his collar turned up, his mind already counting bills, heat, groceries, the dentist appointment he'd been delaying. Then Mia stopped so suddenly Evan almost collided with her backpack. "Daddy!" She pointed upward. A billboard towered above Main Street, 10 stories of light and color cutting through the dull winter. A woman's portrait filled it, calm face, silver pendant catching the glow, the faintest smile aimed straight at the street. Evan's stomach dropped. It was Dr. Lila Hart. Big letters beneath her face read, "Faces like maps, an access and art initiative." Smaller text, "Author. Advocate. Architect of belonging." Mia's voice came out reverent. "That's her. That's Dr. Lila." Evan stood frozen, snow squeaking under his boots. His phone buzzed in his pocket, unknown number. He answered without thinking. "Good morning, Evan," Lila said, as if she'd been standing beside him all along. "I was told you're under my billboard." Evan swallowed. "You're famous." A soft laugh. "Fame is just a loud room. I prefer quieter rooms." Her tone shifted. "I called because I want to ask permission. I'm speaking today at the City Gallery. The team suggested I share what happened last night, how you asked first, how you offered your elbow instead of taking control." Evan stared at the sidewalk. People were already glancing at him, noticing his stillness beneath the billboard like the city itself was pointing. "You don't have to," Lila added quickly. "I won't share anything you're not comfortable with." Mia tugged Evan's sleeve. "Daddy, you helped her write." Evan exhaled. He'd been invisible for years, just another tired man pushing through winter. Suddenly, the city was shining a spotlight on one moment. "You can share it," Evan said carefully. "But don't call me a hero. Call me a neighbor." "That," Lila said softly, "is exactly the word." At noon, Evan took his lunch break early and brought Mia to the gallery. Inside, the world felt brighter, warm lighting, citrus polish, volunteers laughing, art hung at heights that invited more than just tall people to belong. Beside each portrait was a raised-line version you could read with your fingertips. Grooved strips along the floor guided feet as gently as a handrail. Mia ran her glove over the textured map and whispered, "It's like secret roads." Evan's throat tightened. Secret roads. He'd once needed them too, after the accident that took Mia's mother, when every street corner felt like a trap. Lila's speech was calm, powerful. "People are infrastructure," she said. "A city can have ramps and lights and signs, but if we don't treat each other with dignity, we still build walls." Applause rose like soft snow. Afterward, the gallery director, Thomas Reed, approached Evan. "We're launching something new," he said. "Paid work. Weekend shifts. We call them neighborhood narrators, people who guide visitors and residents through public spaces with care. The city listens to stories. Yours could become a model." Evan was about to say yes, until a man in a tailored coat stepped between them, smiling like a knife. "Evan Brooks," he asked, "too familiar?" "Name's Grant Heller. City Development Office." He offered a handshake that felt like a test. "We need to talk," Heller said. "Privately." And just like that, the warm gallery air went colder. Grant Heller led Evan to a side hallway where the noise of the event dulled into a distant hum. His smile stayed polite, but his eyes were busy, measuring. "Let me start by saying," Heller said, "what you did for Dr. Hart was commendable. The kind of thing the city loves." Evan didn't like the way "loves" sounded in his mouth. "Like a marketing plan." Heller continued, "You're getting attention. The initiative is getting attention. That attracts funding. And funding attracts scrutiny." Evan folded his arms. What do you want? Heller produced a thin folder. Inside was a glossy concept rendering, bright ramps, sleek tactile paths, a winter plaza with twinkling lights. The title read, Maple Crossing Renewal Project. Underneath, presented by Northgate Development. Evan's jaw tightened. He recognized that name. Northgate had been involved in the roadwork years ago, the night Mia's mother slipped at a poorly marked curb cut during a freezing rain. The lawsuit had gone nowhere. The city had called it an unfortunate accident. Evan had called it negligence. Heller smiled faintly. We want you as a public supporter. A face. A working father. A real citizen who proves the city is changing. Evan felt heat rise in his chest. So you want to use me? We want to partner with you, Heller corrected smoothly. You'll be compensated. A stipend. Maybe a job placement. Winter's expensive, Mr. Brooks. Evan pictured Mia's boots with the worn soles. The rent notice. The way the heater knocked like it was angry. And still, he heard Lila's voice, ask first. Pause. Let the person choose. Heller slid a pen forward. Just a signature that you'll appear at the ribbon cutting and avoid negative statements about the project. Evan read the fine print. Non-disparagement clause. Media restrictions. Approval rights. It wasn't partnership. It was silence for sale. I'm not signing, Evan said. Heller's smile didn't crack, but the air sharpened. You should think carefully. People who turn down offers like this often regret it. Jobs disappear. Opportunities dry up. Evan stepped back. Are you threatening me? I'm describing reality, Heller replied. This city is fast. It doesn't slow down for anyone. Not even kind men with daughters. Evan left the hallway with his pulse pounding. He found Lila near a tactile portrait, speaking with a reporter. When she noticed his face, her expression tightened. What happened? She asked quietly. Evan hesitated, then told her, low and direct. About Northgate. About the signature. About the clause. Lila's fingers stilled on her cane. Northgate, she repeated, voice suddenly colder than winter. That name again. Evan blinked. You know them? Lila took a breath that sounded like control. I lost my sight after a fall at a so-called temporary safe crossing, during one of Northgate's projects. The paperwork said the warning strips were installed. They weren't. Evan stared at her, the pieces clicking together like gears. His wife. Lila's sight. The same corners. The same winter. Mia ran up with a small embossed map card. Daddy, look. Dr. Lila made a city you can feel. Evan knelt and hugged her, but his eyes met Lila's over Mia's hair. Kindness had brought them together. Now truth had. And truth, Evan knew, always made enemies. The backlash didn't arrive like thunder. It arrived like freezing drizzle, quiet, relentless, soaking through everything. First, Evan's boss at the repair shop pulled him aside. We got a call, the man said, uncomfortable. Somebody said you're stirring up controversy. I don't need trouble. Evan went home that night with his hours cut. Then a local blog posted a headline, Viral Dad, Hero or Hoax? It questioned his motives, implied he'd staged the crosswalk moment for attention. A photo from the gallery, Evan, Lila, Mia, was cropped so tightly it made them look like a publicity stunt instead of three humans sharing a day. Mia found it on a classmate's phone and asked in a small voice, Daddy, did you lie? Evan's heart cracked. He crouched to her level. No, baby. People sometimes say ugly things when truth threatens them. But why? Because it's easier to attack a person than fix a broken street. Lila called that evening. Her voice was calm, but Evan heard strain beneath it. "They're pressuring donors," she said. "They want the initiative to stay positive. Which means, stay quiet." Evan looked at the snow piling on his windowsill. "I'm tired of quiet." They met at the Maple Street Cafe again, same cinnamon smell, same bright lights pushing back winter. This time, Thomas Reed joined them, his scarf half undone, eyes sharp. "We need evidence," Thomas said. "Not emotion. Evidence wins against polished lies." Lila nodded. "I kept records. Medical reports, city complaints, photos from volunteers who documented missing tactile strips. But the city files are incomplete." Evan understood the word incomplete. It meant erased. He hesitated, then said the thing he hadn't told anyone. "After my wife died, I kept everything. Photos of that curb. The police report. The weather records. The emails where the city told me the crossing met standards." Thomas leaned forward. "Do you still have them?" Evan nodded. "In a box. Under Mia's bed. I couldn't throw it away." Lila's breath caught. "Evan, that box isn't just grief. It's a case. They built a plan like people building a bridge." Thomas would contact a journalist he trusted, one who wouldn't sell the story back to developers. Lila would speak, but only alongside proof. Evan would testify as a citizen, not a mascot. The next day, Grant Heller appeared outside Evan's apartment building, standing in the snow like he owned the sidewalk. "You're making a mistake," Heller said. Evan's hands curled into fists. "Move." Heller's voice dropped. "You want Mia's school scholarship to stay uncomplicated, right? You want your landlord to stay patient? Winter makes people fragile, Mr. Brooks. Don't break." Evan's blood went cold. He wasn't just being pressured. He was being watched. That night, Evan sat at the kitchen table while Mia slept. He opened the box under her bed. Papers. Photos. His wife's handwriting on an old sticky note, "They keep cutting corners. Someone will get hurt." Evan swallowed, eyes burning. In the morning, he would stop being afraid. Because the city didn't need another billboard. It needed someone who wouldn't sign away the truth. The public hearing was held in a downtown civic hall that smelled like old paper and winter coats. Outside, snow fell in clean flakes, as if the sky wanted the day to look honest. Evan arrived early with Mia bundled in a bright scarf. Lila came with Thomas and a small team from the initiative, people carrying tactile maps, folders, and quiet courage. A journalist sat in the front row, not smiling, just watching. Grant Heller was there too, seated behind Northgate's attorneys, wearing that same polished calm. When Evan's name was called, he stood. His legs felt like ice, but his voice didn't. "My name is Evan Brooks," he said. "I'm a father. I'm a worker. And I'm here because this city taught me something: if you don't pause, people get hurt." He presented the photos of Maple Street's crossing from years ago. He held up the emails. He showed the timestamps. He didn't exaggerate. He didn't perform. He simply told the truth like it was a map. Then Lila spoke. "I am blind because a temporary safe crossing was not safe," she said, fingers resting on her cane. "And I'm not asking for pity. I'm asking for accountability." Thomas Reed introduced the volunteer documentation: missing tactile strips, incorrect installations, funds allocated but not visible on the street. The journalist's pen moved fast. Grant Heller's face tightened for the first time. The room shifted, like a crowd realizing it had been lied to. After the hearing, outside under pale winter sun, Thomas got a call. He listened, nodded once, then looked at Evan and Lila with a rare, stunned grin. "Northgate's project is frozen," Thomas said. "Independent audit. Full review. Evan exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. Weeks later, the gallery's program launched officially, neighborhood narrators, paid and protected by a city partnership that couldn't be quietly erased. Evan's schedule was built around school pickup, just like he'd begged life for. On the first Saturday shift, Evan guided a small group across Maple Street. He didn't grab anyone. He asked. He offered his elbow. He described the world in careful pictures. Mia walked beside him holding a little laminated map. She took the role seriously, pointing to grooves on the sidewalk like she was showing off treasure. After the shift, the three of them, Evan, Lila, Mia, stopped for ice cream, still wearing their coats, laughter steaming into the winter air. Lila tilted her face toward the sun like she could feel its pale warmth through the cold. "One elbow," Mia said, licking a drip before it fell. "That's all it took." Evan looked at Maple Street, at the crosswalk chirping, at the new tactile strip underfoot, at strangers moving a little slower for one another. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a neighbor who chose honesty over comfort, kindness over fear, dignity over silence. And in a city built of steel and speed, that choice became something stronger than any billboard. People, being careful with people, were the real infrastructure. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more stories that stay with you.